my dad, feeling sorry for my 10-year secret crush, simply drugged his good friend, who was much older, and sent him to my bed. After waking up, he coldly agreed to marry me. Not long after getting married, Ethan frequently went abroad on business trips, and each trip lasted 3 years. I gave birth to my daughter Ava and waited at home for him to return. 3 years later, when I heard he was returning to the country, I gave up an important social engagement and took my daughter to the airport to meet him. The daughter begged him for a hug, and he glanced at me lightly. Sorry, I have a cleanliness obsession. Since then, my daughter and I wash our hands more than 3 times each time. The floors in the house are spotless, but he still hasn't come back. He hasn't even held our daughter. Until I saw a video where someone asked him, Ethan, what do you think is the happiest thing? He replied casually, last week abroad, I put Emma to sleep and then pulled Julie into the bathroom. In the midst of the uproar, my hands and feet were icy cold. Julie is his ex-girlfriend with whom he has an unresolved connection, and Emma is the daughter of his ex-girlfriend. I heard that they have been living together for the past 3 years abroad, and it turns out to be true. I was completely heartbroken, left the divorce agreement, and took my daughter to cancel our identities before going abroad. The nanny picked up her daughter from kindergarten, and Ava's eyes were swollen from crying. Mom, does Ava not have a dad? She sobbed, feeling terribly wronged. Dad promised to go to the kindergarten parent meeting for me, but when he arrived, he said he was Emma's dad. Mom, they all say Ava is a child without a father, boo-hoo. A sharp pain shot through my chest as I held my daughter tightly, my eyes red. I wanted to say something to comfort her, but Ethan's cold demeanor echoed in my mind, and the words got stuck in my throat. I regret my initial decision. I thought that after waiting for 3 years, he would finally come to his senses and be willing to return home to reunite with us, mother and daughter. Little did he expect that it was just because Julie mentioned wanting to go back to her country. Without hesitation, he bought a plane ticket, arranged everything, and even transferred his ex-girlfriend's daughter to the best kindergarten. On the day she went to the airport to meet him, Ava wore her prettiest dress and nervously asked me, Mom, will Dad like Ava? I nodded. Ava is Dad's only daughter, of course she would. But when we arrived at the airport with excitement, we saw Ethan holding Julie's hand, with a 3-year-old girl in his arms. Ava and I stood frozen in place. Ethan glanced at me lightly and said, Sorry, I need to take care of Julie and Emma first. You two should head home. He didn't even glance at Ava, yet he looked at Emma with a face full of tenderness. Thinking of this, I despairingly closed my eyes. I'm sorry, Ava, it's all my fault. Next time, I'll go to the parent-teacher meeting for you. I helped Ava wash her face and finally got her to sleep. But her little brows were tightly furrowed. Daddy, hug me. My heart feels like it's been pricked by a needle. If it weren't for that incident 3 years ago, Ava might not have to suffer like this. 3 years ago, my dad, feeling sorry for my 10-year crush, simply drugged Ethan and sent him to my bed. I was shocked beyond belief. Dad, are you trying to kill me? My dad sighed. He had noticed long ago that you liked Ethan, and that kid has feelings for you too, but he just won't say it. That day, after getting drunk, I still heard him calling your name. I felt it was all so tedious for you both. Why not just turn raw rice into cooked rice directly? I resisted in every way, but unexpectedly, the next moment, my whole body became hot. My dad chuckled, I've added something to your drink too, so cherish this night. Then the door was locked from the inside. That night, Ethan woke up and coldly said, Erica, I will take responsibility for you and marry you. I thought a happy life was about to begin. Yet, at a gathering one day, I unexpectedly ran into him talking with friends. Ethan, don't take your blessings for granted. Erica has a great figure, is wealthy, and most importantly, she loves you. Just enjoy your life together. Ethan took a drag from his cigarette and sneered. At first, I had a good impression of her, but I never expected her to be such a casual person. Just thinking about the way she drugged me that day and forced herself on me makes me feel disgusted. I still haven't figured out how to explain it to him properly, and half a month later, he got a visa and went abroad. Yet that night gave me a child. I gave birth to my daughter Ava and waited day and night for him to return. What I got instead was the tangled relationship between him and Julie and her daughter. In the empty villa, silence enveloped me. I took out my phone, just about to call Ethan to ask when he would be back. Suddenly, the door was pushed open, and Ethan walked in coldly. He glanced at the sleeping Ava and casually said, "Emma is coming over to play tomorrow, you and Ava should go out." Meeting my confused gaze, he smiled slightly and explained, "Emma is quite possessive, she can't stand other little girls calling me dad." I had just been holding in a belly full of anger, and now it finally exploded. I laughed in rage. "Ethan, do you even know who your real daughter is? Do you have any idea what happened to Ava at kindergarten today?" Ethan frowned slightly and interrupted me. "Erica, I don't need you to remind me of this. Today at the kindergarten, I'm very sorry, Emma also has to attend a parent-teacher meeting. Julie and her dad are getting a divorce, and she's overwhelmed taking care of the child by herself. Moreover, before I met you, I had already sworn to Julie that I would never let her suffer. I have married you as you wished, but you cannot stop me from caring for her and her daughter. This is what I owe them." Ethan finished speaking, threw down his coat, and went to the bathroom. The sound of rushing water drowned out my desperate, helpless sobs. If I had known that life would turn out like this after marrying him, I would rather die than choose to submit that night. I gave a wry smile at the divorce agreement I had just typed up on the computer. If it weren't for Ava, given my personality, I probably would have filed for divorce a long time ago. But when I think of how Ava feels wronged, I want to fight for it a little longer. I don't want her to lose her father from such a young age. Ava woke up early in the morning and learned that her dad had come back. She jumped up excitedly on her little bed, wanting me to take the drawing she had just made to show her dad. Children have short memories. Ava has already forgiven Ethan for what happened at kindergarten yesterday. Ava happily ran downstairs. But she saw Julie and Emma there, and Ethan was gently helping Emma peel an orange. "Dad, who are they?" Seeing Ava still at home, Ethan frowned and asked, "Why are you still at home? Where's your mom?" Ava was startled, yet she carefully held up the family portrait she had drawn over the week. This was the family portrait Ava had created, thinking she would give it to her dad when he returned home. The painting was just about to be handed over when it was rudely snatched away by a small hand. "What a worthless painting." Emma stomped her foot and tore it in half. She stood there arrogantly with her hands on her hips and shoved my daughter hard. "This is my dad. Ava, the classmates all say you are a wild child. Who allowed you to call me dad?" Seeing Ava lying on the ground crying loudly, I immediately panicked, helped Ava up, and coldly glared at Emma, shouting, "Apologize." Ethan frowned and said unhappily, "Erica, why are you being so harsh with the kids? Last night I told you in advance that Emma can't stand others calling me dad. She was just feeling wronged and angry, not intentionally pushing Ava." I remained steadfast, still holding on. "Was she doing it on purpose? Didn't you see it just now?" "Ethan, she just called Ava a bastard to her face." "You tell her, is Ava really a bastard?" Ethan hesitated for a moment, but still gently coaxed Emma, showing no intention of apologizing. Julie rolled her eyes and smiled gracefully as she apologized. "Erica, I'm really sorry. Emma grew up abroad and has a straightforward personality. She says what she thinks, so please don't take it to heart." She said this, and the little girl in her arms looked even more pleased. I wasn't wrong. The classmates all said it. Ava is just a wild child. She stole my dad. I clenched my fists and coldly stared at Ethan. He had said before that he was a perfectionist, and both Ava and I had tolerated it, constantly accommodating him. He is willing to use overtime as an excuse to get entangled with other women outside, and I turn a blind eye to it. But now, I cannot tolerate others calling my daughter a bastard. "Ethan, I will ask you one more time, is Ava?" Ethan's face flashed with displeasure, but he sneered and said, "Don't you have any idea how she became my daughter?" Alright, today is the day Emma comes over to play, so let's not make everyone unhappy. Julie and her mother were gloating nearby. Ethan, feeling heartbroken, picked up Emma and said, "How about Daddy goes to buy you some toys? And a pretty dress?" Okay. Ethan's face was full of indulgence. Looking at his back, I felt a chill in my heart and finally said the words I had weighed countless times but could never bring myself to say. "Ethan, let's get a divorce." Ethan paused, turning back coldly. "Erica, do you find this amusing? If you think this can threaten me, then so be it." After saying that, he left without looking back. A hint of a smile flashed in Julie's eyes, but she quickly suppressed it and returned to apologize to me. "I'm really sorry, Ethan and I are innocent. This person is very loyal and caring. He feels sorry for me having divorced early, with no father for my child, so he has been a bit more concerned. Please don't take it to heart, and don't let this cause any unpleasantness." Julie added my contact information before leaving, saying she wanted to compensate for the painting of Ava. "Julie, come here." Ethan is holding Emma and calling her softly from not far outside. "Here they come." Julie chased after them with a beaming smile, and they hadn't gone far when their conversation clearly reached my ears. "Ethan, you really shouldn't have agreed to that just because Erica said the divorce was just a spur-of-the-moment thing." Ethan scoffed. "She went to great lengths to secure this marriage, how could she possibly bear to divorce? Just now, she was so fierce with our Emma, but it was merely a small punishment for her. It won't be long before she comes begging me to come back." I couldn't help but sneer. "Ethan, people can change. In the past, Erica died recklessly for love. Now, for my daughter, I will choose to completely leave you." Ava hid in her room, crying uncontrollably. Mom and her classmates all said that Dad was Emma's dad, but Ava didn't fight her for Dad. Later, she fell asleep holding Ethan's photo, while I couldn't sleep at all. I opened my phone and saw that Julie had updated her moments. "Emma finally has the missing paternal love that belongs to us, and no one can take it away." Right below the text is a picture of the three of them closely embracing and smiling at the camera, looking just like a family of three. I casually tapped a like, and suddenly a message popped up on my phone. A video sent by Julie popped up, and I opened it to see Ethan's handsome face, back when he had just returned to the country. A friend asked him, "Ethan, what do you think is the happiest thing?" He replied casually, "Last week abroad, I put Emma to sleep and then pulled Julie into the bathroom." With the tenderness in his eyes and the raucous cheers around us, my hands and feet felt icy cold. Julie shared a message in her social circle: "Ever since we had a child, we can no longer enjoy our world as a couple. We can only wait until Emma falls asleep and then quietly sneak around doing this and that." I was lost in thought when Julie sent another message. "I'm really sorry, I just clicked the wrong button and accidentally sent it to you." By the time I realized, it was already too late to take it back. "But to be honest, you should know Ethan's feelings by now, right? At first, it was because you used despicable means that you forced me into marriage and became Ethan's wife. During these 3 years abroad, he has always been with me and Emma. Although the child is not his biological son, Ethan is more considerate and caring than a biological father. Even after our breakup, he still can't bear to part with me. It won't be long before we find our way back to each other again. Erica, I know your family is wealthy and you don't need this man. I advise you to spare yourself the trouble and withdraw voluntarily." After speaking, she sent another picture. Emma is in the middle, smiling brightly, while she and Ethan kiss the girl's cheek at the same time, looking just like a happy family. I smiled and replied to her, "Sure." Then I got through to my dad's phone. "Dad, I've made up my mind, I'm taking Ava abroad to settle down, and we'll be leaving in a few days." My dad's surprised voice came through. "Really? But I heard Ethan has returned to the country. It must have been difficult for your family to reunite, does he agree?" I gave a desolate, bitter smile and said, "He cannot obtain it. I no longer insist on waiting for Ethan to come back before I go to sleep like I used to." When Ethan returned, it was already 2 in the morning. As soon as he stepped inside, he saw the pitch-black room and frowned. Usually, I would leave the light on for him every time, but this time it became an exception. Not just this time, but after that, I no longer troubled him. For 3 whole days, I didn't say a word to Ethan. Ethan seemed to sense something was off, so when he returned, he brought a gift box. "Erica, this is for you." A trace of apology crossed his face. "A few days ago, it was Emma's thoughtlessness, and I apologize to you and Ava on her behalf." As he spoke, he opened the gift box, and inside lay a vintage necklace, quietly resting. He took it out and was just about to help me put it on. I quietly avoided, no need to trouble myself. That necklace, I had seen it in Julie's social circle. She had complained about it being outdated and old-fashioned, even joking that she wouldn't want to throw it away. I expressionlessly walked past Ethan, holding Ava as I changed clothes, then drove out. He glanced over, paused for a moment, and then lingered on me for a long time. "You are a bit different today. Where are you going?" "I'll drive you." Ethan appeared particularly attentive. The rearview mirror reflected my crisp and neat casual suit, while in front of him before, I had only worn dresses that looked gentle and demure. But in the 3 years he has been gone, I have started a company, attended social gatherings, and even fixed the plumbing myself. I am not dependent on him. As for driving, no need, I should be more skilled at it than you. Moreover, today I went out to cancel Ava's domestic identity. 3 hours later, after we had finished canceling our identification documents and came out, we saw Ethan's car parked at the entrance, his brow furrowed as he stared at me. "Erica, what are you doing here with your daughter?" He followed me all the way, and when he saw me carrying Ava inside, I didn't come out for 3 hours. For some reason, my heart felt like it was being twisted with unease. I smiled and said, "It's nothing, my ID has expired, I'm here to get a new one." "Aren't you busy today?" "I heard that Julie has been looking for a job recently, so she might need you." Ethan stared at me intently, his expression inscrutable. After a long while, he sneered, "Erica, you're quite something. It's the first time I've seen someone push their husband away like this." "Since you said so, I'll do as you wish." The car door slammed shut, and Ethan's car vanished in an instant. I really don't understand, I helped them, so why is he angry instead? I only learned from Ethan's assistant. "Madam, Mr. Ethan specifically took a day off to spend with you and the child, how did you manage to drive him away?" "Now it's good, he got himself completely drunk and ran off to see Julie and her mother. The assistant has always thought that Ethan and I are a good match, wholeheartedly trying to bring us together. But now, I chuckle self-deprecatingly, thank you, but let it be. After all, there are still 3 days left. Ava and I will be leaving here soon." But I never expected that on the day I helped Ava transfer schools, she was pushed into the water by Emma, triggering a medical emergency. I rushed to save Ava like a madman, only to be told by the hospital that Ethan had redirected all the medical resources in the city to treat Emma's allergy. Seeing Ava's little face pale, I desperately dialed Ethan's number, begging him to save Ava. On the other end of the phone, Julie's cries could be heard. He sounded frantic, yet he let out a cold laugh. "Erica, what are you pretending to be so pitiful about this time? Ava is fine, how could anything possibly be wrong? That day I accompanied you, but you pushed me away. Now Emma has a severe allergy, and because you're jealous, what tricks are you trying to play?" A metallic taste filled my throat, and just as I was about to explain, the phone emitted a busy signal. I was engulfed by a wave of despair. I thought Ava would cry, but instead, she was calmly looking at me while breathing oxygen. "Mom, Dad really doesn't want Ava this time, right?" She smiled understandingly and weakly helped me wipe away my tears. "Don't cry, Mom, that Ava doesn't want Dad anymore either." In the end, I called my dad, and using his connections, I quickly arranged for a top-tier doctor to come from the neighboring city. During these days in the hospital, Ethan has not shown up at all. The television station was still broadcasting Ethan's heroic deeds of mobilizing the city's medical resources to save lives. I coldly stared at the face on the screen filled with worry. Ethan, since you love them so much, I will fulfill you and our daughter. The day Ava was discharged from the hospital, I cancelled my domestic identity, deleted Ethan's contact information, broke my SIM card, and left this city for good with Ava. Ethan finally breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing that Emma was no longer in danger from her allergies. Julie has been worried sick these past few days, and she has finally fallen asleep now. For some reason, Ethan always felt a sense of emptiness in his heart. He subconsciously took out his phone and turned it on. I thought that after forcibly shutting down for the past couple of days, Erica would flood his phone with calls, but when he turned it back on, he was stunned. Not a single missed call. He was somewhat surprised to open our chat dialogue and find it still lingering from 2 days ago. Erica pleaded with him, "Please answer the phone, Ava is in the hospital, she needs urgent help." Ethan cast a disdainful glance. He thought it was just another ploy of jealousy. But suddenly, a strong sense of unease surged within him. Just as I was about to dial my phone, I suddenly heard 2 nurses passing by in the hospital corridor, talking about something. "Have you heard? The most famous Dr. Zhang from the neighboring city came to save Ava, and it was all thanks to Erica's connections." "Yes, otherwise this little girl could have a sudden emergency, and she might even lose her life." Hearing the familiar words, Ethan suddenly stood up, frowning as he stopped them and asked, "Why did I hear you say, Ava, Erica?" The 2 nurses exchanged glances. "Yes, Mr. Ethan, you probably don't know that a couple of days ago, when you mobilized all the medical resources in the city, there was a little girl named Ava at our branch who suddenly fell seriously ill and needed urgent rescue. Originally, everyone thought that without a doctor, the little girl wouldn't make it, but fortunately, Erica managed to bring a doctor over from the neighboring city, and in the end, it was a close call but no harm done." Ethan's face turned pale inch by inch. "Are you sure that girl is named Ava?" "Yes." The nurse nodded firmly, noticing that his expression was off. "What's wrong, Mr. Ethan? Do you know that little girl?" In recent days, Ethan's mobilization of all the city's medical resources has made his reputation as a domineering CEO widely known. Even the nurses at the hospital were envious, but unfortunately, he married young and has a wife like Julie and a lucky daughter like Emma. Ethan collapsed to the ground. "Ava is my daughter." The nurse laughed in disbelief. "Mr. Ethan, you must be joking. Who doesn't know that your daughter is Emma? The reporters from the TV station have said it, you love your wife so much and your precious daughter. Everyone jokes that they hope to be reborn as your second child in their next life." Ethan suddenly looked up. "Who said that?" The nurse pointed to Julie, who was sleeping in the ward. "Of course, Miss Julie. She said that you and your wife are very affectionate, and you are quite a daughter slave. Yes, that Ava almost lost her life, and her father didn't even show up. How could she possibly be your daughter?" With every word exchanged, Ethan's expression darkened. He almost immediately rushed into the hospital room and slammed the door shut. Julie was awakened, her eyes hazy as she looked at him. "Ethan, what's wrong?" Ethan's face turned pale. "You told the reporters and the medical staff that you are my wife? Emma is my daughter? Also, I didn't have time to investigate Emma's allergy. How did those reporters suddenly come to the hospital to cover this matter?" A flicker of guilt passed through Julie's eyes, and she smiled awkwardly. It might have been an accident. After all, they all heard Emma calling for your dad when she was in pain from her allergy, so it was only natural for them to understand that I am your wife. Julie felt wronged as she spoke, yet pretended to be understanding. "Ethan, do you care a lot about this? If you do, I can step in to clarify." Julie deliberately reddened her eyes, pretending to dawdle as she went out to tell others. Sure enough, a few seconds later, Ethan stopped her. "No need." Julie smiled triumphantly. She had long since figured out Ethan's thoughts. Ethan has always been a person who dislikes being high-profile. If he were to deliberately clarify or explain, it would only make him more embarrassed. So before Emma's allergy, she arranged for reporters to stake out for an interview right away. She also knew that as long as Ethan was willing to treat Emma's allergies and mobilize all the medical resources in the city, public opinion would stir up. By then, she had become the well-known Mrs. Ethan. Even if Erica has a marriage certificate, who would believe it? At that time, just hire some online trolls to say that Erica is the mistress. Those two, mother and daughter, would have to leave. Julie repeatedly scrolled through the trending news on her phone, each article detailing how Ethan, the domineering CEO, was doing everything in his power to save his daughter. She felt that this risky move was the right one. Julie feigned concern and asked, "Ethan, what's wrong with you? You seem distracted. If you tell me, can I help share your burden?" Ethan shook his head and sighed helplessly. He had just heard the nurse say that Ava was also hospitalized and had a sudden emergency. But I couldn't get through to Erica no matter how many times I called. That afternoon, Ethan could no longer sit still. "I need to go back and check on Erica and Ava. If it really was a sudden emergency for Ava, she must be terrified." But as soon as he finished speaking, a small arm wrapped around his thigh. "Woo-woo, Daddy, don't leave Emma behind." Emma had just been awakened, her face lit up with a smile as she stared at Ethan. Hearing that he was leaving, Julie immediately shot him a glance. She understood in an instant, bursting into tears and clinging to his leg, refusing to let go no matter what. Julie pretended to be understanding. "Emma, be good. Daddy has things to do, can you let go of Daddy, okay?" Emma shook her head frantically. "No, Emma must have Daddy with her. Otherwise, Emma refuses to take her medicine." Ethan frowned, deeply troubled. Seeing this, his assistant comforted him. "Mr. Ethan, don't worry too much. Your wife loves you so much that even after you went abroad for 3 years, she willingly gave birth to and raised your daughter alone, waiting day and night for your return. How many people can show such resilience and determination? Isn't it just that you didn't answer her call? She might just be angry for a few days, but once she knows the truth, she will forgive you." Ethan found it very reasonable, and his furrowed brow immediately relaxed as he nodded with a smile. Indeed, Erica cared so much for her daughter that she must have already taken Ava home to wait for me. At first, she used every means to marry me, and the entire study was filled with her secret love diaries about me. Where else could she go when she wasn't home? I must have been so busy these days that my head was spinning, lost in wild thoughts. Thinking of this, Ethan sat down to rest with peace of mind and said to himself, "Once Emma is discharged from the hospital, I will go back and spend some quality time with them." In the blink of an eye, a week had passed. After the plane landed, Ava and I headed straight to my dad's place. He had spent enough years in the country and suddenly wanted to go to the other side of the Pacific to see the sea. He fell in love with the leisurely life there and decided to settle down. He told me, "Daughter, your dad is your backup at any time. No matter what happens, I will always have your back." My dad saw Ava and me, and he was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth for a long time. "Grandpa." "Ava, dear, do you miss Grandpa?" Of course I thought about it. Mom said that from now on we would be mooching food and drinks at Grandpa's house. The grandfather and grandson laughed heartily. That night, after putting Ava to sleep, my dad, with a heavy heart, asked me, "Erica, it wasn't convenient to talk on the phone, but now you can tell me, what exactly is going on between you and Ethan?" I explained the ins and outs of the matter. In the end, I smiled bitterly and said, "Dad, we were stubborn back then and made a mistake. Ethan doesn't like me at all, I can't force it. I've tried, I've put in the effort, but since his heart isn't with me, I'll just go with the flow. Anyway, my work ability is strong. Just give me any company here to manage, and I can earn $1 million in a year for you, so I won't have to worry about raising Ava." My dad has been sighing for a long time. "It shouldn't be like this. Clearly, back then when I tried, that kid Ethan really liked you, how could it have turned out like this?" Looking at Ava's sleeping face, I smiled. Perhaps he once had a sincere heart, otherwise, with his personality, even if I threatened him with a knife to get married, he wouldn't have gone to get the marriage certificate with me. I never doubt sincerity. But sincerity can change in an instant. The next day, my dad completed the enrollment procedures for Ava and found her the best kindergarten in the area. My dad was already overwhelmed by the company's stock acquisition. Now that I'm here, he has a strong ally and can directly retire to go fishing. 2 weeks later. While handling work, I suddenly received an email from Assistant Chin. "Madam, I don't know if you can see this email. I've tried various ways to contact you, but all have failed. I suspect you have cancelled your identity and are probably no longer in the country. You have no idea, Mr. Ethan has been on the verge of madness during this time." I followed along line by line. Assistant Chin told me a lot about what was happening in the country. Ethan accompanied Emma to handle her discharge, and only then did he finally rush home, but he was completely stunned. The home, once filled with the breath of life, suddenly became clean, tidy, and empty. All of Ava's and my belongings had been put away, not a single item remained. At first, he guessed that I had just taken Ava on a short trip. But he waited and waited. And still, he couldn't wait any longer. Ethan has always been sparing with his words, but after waiting for a week, he began to feel anxious and took the initiative to message me. "Erica, where did you take Ava?" As soon as the message was sent, it showed failure, and at the same time a red exclamation mark appeared. Ethan then realized that he had been blocked. Then Ethan ran to Ava's kindergarten to pick her up after school. The kindergarten teacher looked at him in confusion. "Mr. Ethan, are you mistaken? Aren't you Emma's father?" Ethan was taken aback, and only then did he realize the trouble he was in. Every time I came to the kindergarten before, it was either to pick up Emma or to attend a parent-teacher meeting for her. I never paid any attention to Ava. Now the kindergarten teachers all think that I am Emma's father. Ethan frowned and explained, "No, Emma is my friend's daughter, Ava is my biological daughter." The kindergarten teacher let out a snicker as if she had heard a joke, looking him up and down. It's truly a sight to behold. Every time I come, I attend parent-teacher meetings for someone else's daughter, while it feels like I don't even know my own daughter. If someone didn't know better, they might think we were playing some kind of cosplay. Ava had already transferred schools and, according to her mother, was preparing to settle abroad. She probably left about a week ago. Ethan stood frozen in place, incredulously asking, "What? Move abroad to settle down?" He seemed to have heard some outrageous news. His body shook in disbelief. How could this be possible? For all these years, Erica had been waiting for him in the marriage villa back home. Even though she had been abroad for 3 years, just because of my words, "Don't come," Erica really didn't go abroad even once. She is living in the country with her daughter. Many times, Ethan himself couldn't even imagine how she managed to raise Ava all by herself. After all, the culprit of that night was Erica. Ethan always thought that this wasn't enough, he needed to find other ways to punish her properly. But he didn't know why he felt a regret he had never experienced before. Ethan went crazy, reaching out to connections everywhere, insisting that he must bring me and Ava back. These days, he has locked himself in the house. Ever since returning to the country, Erica has meticulously ironed every suit of hers, and the floors at home are spotless. The laughter of Erica and Ava always echoed in the villa. But now, the villa seems so empty and silent. Ethan only felt that the loneliness and regret in his heart were growing larger and larger. He now only wants to do one thing, which is to see his wife and daughter immediately. Julie and Emma have come to the villa to look for him several times. "Dad, tomorrow is my birthday. Will you go to Disney with me?" Emma confidently shook his arm, not knowing why she used to find Emma cute and lively. Now he only felt an overwhelming sense of annoyance. He couldn't help but think of Ava. When Emma shamelessly lay in his arms and acted coy, what about Ava? Ava, lacking a father's affection, appeared wronged and tearful, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, constantly surfacing in Ethan's mind. "I'm such a jerk." Ethan pounded his head. At that moment, his guilt reached its peak. "No, I can't just sit back and wait for my fate. I've already hurt Erica and Ava, I need to go and bring them back." Julie cried and blocked his way. Ethan, since Erica has already decided to leave you, she definitely doesn't want to be found by you again. Please let her go? You have been with me and Emma all these years, she must have given up. How about we start over? After all these years, I realize I still love you, Ethan. Can we create a home for Emma together? In the past, Julie's cries would only make his heart ache, but this time, Ethan irritably pushed him away. If you want a home, go find your ex-husband. I have a wife and kids, Julie, let's keep our distance from now on. Ethan personally came to find me, trying every possible way, from live streaming to posting, even reaching out to television reporters. I was told that there were no mother and daughter named Erica and Ava in the country. Ethan held his head in regret for a long time, and as if he thought of something, he suddenly looked up. I understand now. I know where Erica and Ava are. I never expected to see Ethan again. 2 months later, he actually bought a plane ticket and appeared before Ava and me, looking travel-worn in the country where I had settled. Erica, Ava, I was wrong. After not seeing each other for a few months, Ethan looked much more haggard and worn. He gazed at me with deep affection, even kneeling to apologize and begging me to turn back. Erica, I shouldn't have been so self-righteous, thinking I could grasp you, testing you time and again, hurting you time and again. At first, I was just angry with you for being so casual, which made me feel resistant and repelled, but I forgot that I liked you from the very beginning. Erica, I have neglected you and Ava during this time, and now I realize how deep your love for me is. Can you give me another chance? Ethan trembled as he begged me. If it were in the past, I don't know how happy I would have been to see this scene. For a long time, my dream was to marry Ethan and live a simple life with him and his family of 3. I even poured all my feelings into a diary filled with unrequited love. After we got married, those diaries were seen by Ethan, who contemptuously pushed them aside, but I carefully kept them. Before I could cancel my identity and take Ava abroad, all those diaries were burned to ashes. Moreover, when it was burning, there were no more ripples in my heart. I said softly, Ethan, I have already left the divorce agreement, but it doesn't matter. My identity in my home country has been cancelled, so from a legal standpoint, we are no longer husband and wife. You and Julie have unfinished business, since you like her and her daughter, you can definitely rekindle your past relationship. Although I once liked you, I wasn't that cheap. Without you, my daughter and I can live just fine. Ethan was immediately startled upon hearing this, and he crawled over to me on his knees. No, this is all a misunderstanding. He said that he and Julie are not in that kind of relationship. There is nothing inappropriate between them. I couldn't bear to see Julie taking care of the child all by herself, so I helped her look after her daughter. Perhaps once I had feelings for her too. However, now I have seen her true colors, those reporters were all deliberately brought in by her. She wants to marry me now, but it's only for money. Erica, I have seen my heart clearly, I want you. He pleaded desperately. But I coldly pushed him away. Crouching down, I asked my daughter, Ava, will you forgive Daddy? Ava calmly stared at him and shook her head. No, Ava no longer had a father, her classmates were right, Ava was just a bastard. It doesn't matter whether she's a wild seed or not, having a mother is enough for Ava. Something in Ethan's eyes seemed to have completely shattered. I smiled and replied, Ethan, you can go. I was wearing a crisp, sharp suit and glanced down at my watch on my wrist. Soon I had to attend a social event, a multi-million-dollar deal at stake. In the few months since I arrived abroad, I have closed several deals and earned over 10 million. Ethan, however, was busy searching for his wife and children. As the company fell into decline, he ruthlessly severed ties with Julie. As a result, Julie took revenge on him by exposing Ethan's scandal of cheating on his wife while abroad. In a single night, Ethan's company's stock price plummeted to a level that even the greatest deities couldn't bring back. I was just there to enjoy the excitement. Then I threw myself back into my work. Ethan comes every month, persistently asking for our forgiveness. But both Ava and I were fed up and refused to see it. Finally, it was my dad, who was fishing, that stopped him. "Ethan, you little brat, don't chase after her anymore. I gave you the chance on a silver platter before, and you didn't cherish it. Now that you regret it and want to chase her again, it's too late." Ethan later found out that the reason I was determined to go abroad was because of the video that Julie had deliberately sent me. He explained to me with a pale face. "Erica, don't believe it. It was a misunderstanding, we were playing truth or dare, that wasn't real." He said he was only taking care of Julie and her daughter abroad, and that there was really nothing to it. But I no longer want to investigate what is true or false. After all, it has nothing to do with me anymore. Later, I met a very compatible partner in the business world. We have been dating recently, but I rejected his marriage proposal. I said I have no intention of entering marriage again. I asked Ava if she would like to have a new dad. Ava mischievously glanced back at me, clapped her hands, and said with a laugh, "If it's an uncle, I would like him to be my new dad." And this scene was witnessed by Ethan, whose face turned pale as he left with a bitter smile. After he left, the nanny handed me a letter. She said it was from Ethan. My dad curiously asked, "What does it say up there?" I didn't look at it, I just tore it to shreds and threw it in the trash can. It no longer matters. 2 years later, I heard that Ethan could no longer get by in the country. He had an unexpected car accident, and some said he had become a vegetable. Some say he stabbed Julie and ended up in prison. What the truth really is, I didn't pursue it either. Because it no longer matters either.